Hello SG Bears, Soren here, and I am going to go over my time and date system, which has been newly updated for version 1.11, and we're just going to go ahead and get into it, show you how to set it up, and that way you can make your own system, or you can utilize the project file, which I have located on the Steam boards. The link will be in the description. So here I already have everything set up, but I'm going to show you how it actually functions. So we're going to go into edit game data. And then we're going to go to common events. And you'll see I have one for time and one for date. These could be combined into one, but I thought it'd be better having them separate as two. Actually, before that, let's go ahead and show you the images because you want to have the HUD display for the time. So we'll go into assets, images here, and you'll see I've just got 13 images here, various numbers, AM, colon, and PM. That's all you need, those images there, which are included in the project file. Alternatively, you can actually download them separately on the Steam board, have a separate link to that. That's up to you. But we'll be needing those to set up the common event. So, edit game data, common events, go back into time. Now you want this to automatically start. And here, I've added a switch so I can stop time whenever I want to for events and other things of that nature. Very first thing is a wait. You notice I have it set to 0.1 seconds. This is just mainly for testing purposes. You wouldn't ever actually want to run it at that speed. Whatever you set the wait to is how long a minute will last for your clock. Given that, a minute would only last, or an hour would only last a few seconds. So, adjust it accordingly. I suggest somewhere around 0.5. 2.5, or it might be 2.4, I'm not sure which. But that will give you one game day would last 1 hour of real time, which I think is a pretty good. You can adjust that however you like. Next, we have our variable time minute. We're going to add one to that, so naturally every 0.1 seconds, the minute value will increase. Now if you look into the variable boxes, you'll see I have minute, hour, AM, PM, which I'll go over all these eventually, time day, time week, time month, time year, and time total. Time total is completely optional, but it's used for things like chopping down a tree and having it grow back over time. It just allows you to set when start it and when in the future it should regrow. And then you can compare the two variables. It'll do what it's supposed to do. So we've got that now. Next, we need to add for time total. Again, this is optional, but it's necessary if you want to have that system in there. It'll all make sense once we get to that point of the tutorial. Alright, next we get into some other things. We're going to check the variablebox time minute, see if it's greater or equal to 60. This is our wraparound. This way it doesn't just continue past 60. We want it to go from 59 to 0. So if the variable is 60, we're going to assign it to 0. And then at that point, that means the hour's gone up, so we have to increase the hour. And then we need to check to see if the hour is greater or equal to 24, so we have to have the day roll over. So if the hour is greater or equal to 24, we'll wrap that around to 0. And then we're going to execute common event date. This is very important. We'll get to the common event for date soon, but just keep this in mind. This is very important. So that's it. Nothing in the no columns there, only for yes. Then below all that, we're going to be checking out if it's AM or PM. So here we check if it's greater or equal to 12. And then here I use string variables. And these are going to be used for when you output date and time later in a dialog box or message box or however you want to do it. So we're going to change string variable box AM PM. PM there for yes if it's over 12, greater or equal to, and if it's less than, naturally it'll be AM. Next, we are going to assign variable box time hour to a local variable 0. This will let us do what comes next. We're going to check local variable 0 to see if it's greater or equal to 12. Then subtract 12 from it. It is. This will let us keep it so it's not a 24-hour format for display. And now we start with the graphics. First, we're going to display the colon because, well, that's going to be a static image and it's never going to change. And then we're going to display the next easiest image, which is AM and PM. So we have to check to see if string variable AM PM is the same as AM. If it is, then we obviously show the AM graphic. Now keep in mind your image display numbers for the colon and all these. Each one of these needs to be separate. We're going to be using 6 in total. It'll start from 0. So you have to keep that in mind so that you change the proper one. So colon is set to a 2. This is set to a 5. And this way, this will just update to AM and PM whenever it needs to. Alright, now we go for a little bit of a bigger one. This is going to be the hour display. So when the hour is 0, we need to tell it that it's actually 12. Because obviously, we're not going for a 24-hour clock here. So we display image 0. This is the first image on the left. And that's why they're numbered that way. Show 1, and then we'll show a 2, image number 1. Fairly simple, and obviously you have to adjust coordinates accordingly. Those are going to vary depending on the images you use. Use my images, the coordinates here. All the ones I use are going to be the correct one. unless you want it in a different location. So we're going to check if it's 0, we'll show 12. 1, we'll hide that tens digit for the hours, because it's not needed right now, and we'll show a 1. And then the same thing for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you'll notice at 10, we show that 1 again. Tens digit instead of hiding it. And then, all else fails, it is an 11. So we'll show a 1 and a 1. Then we go all the way past all the branching and start again. Now we're going to do the same thing, except we are going to assign local variable 1 with time minute. And this is going to be a modular resort to how to do it. Before I actually went through all 60 numbers and had all the images for each of the possibilities. It was rather annoying and needed 63 images total to make the whole system. Not very practical. So now we're down to 13 images because I'm utilizing the modular system. And division. Here we're going to divide. We're going to divide the minutes by 10. So this is going to tell us what the tens digit for the minutes is. So naturally, we're going to then go off of the local variable 1's contents. So we check for if it's 0, we show 0. If it's a 1, 2, 3, 5, keep in mind we don't need a 6 because 60s isn't part of the minute. So, all the way to the end and shows that. That's all your tens for the minutes, I should say. Now we're going to get to the actual ones for the minutes. We're going to do the same thing. Local variable 1, assign it again for minutes. Now you're going to do substitute divided remainder. This will give us a leftover, so let's say it's 17 seconds or minutes. At that point, this will give you 7. 36, it'll give you a 6. It'll give you whatever that 1's digit is. So then we go through and we check for all the values of that. 1, 2, all the way up. 8 and 9. So that's it. You just show the images. Just keep in mind the display number. And that is actually it for the time system. Now we're going to go back and show you that very important part of from the common event to execute the date common event. So that will be here. Alright, this is a lot more interesting and fun. So, first thing we're going to do is when this executes, it only executes when the day goes forward. So, first thing we're going to do, obviously, add 1 to the time day variable. Add 1 to the week variable, time week. This is going to let us set up the days of the week, which is what we're going to do next. Now we're going to check for the days. 1, we're going to create a string variable called weekday. We have weekday, month, and AM, PM. AM, PM we've already covered. Now we're going to cover weekday and month. So we're going to set that to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then just as a additional thing, more for error handling than anything else, we're going to wrap it around. If it's not, none of these values, in other words, it somehow got set to 8 or something else, we're going to make sure that it wraps around to 1, which will automatically so that's your error handling for the days of the week. This is a little more complex. This is the month. So first, you're going to check the month's contents 0, obviously. Yes, it'll be January. So we do that for all of them, but after we check if it's after we assign it to January, check to see if the time day is greater than or equal to 31. This is 31 days in January. This will make sure that all of our months have the correct amount of days. So if it's greater or equal to 31, you have to remember that all the numbers start from 0. That's why it's greater than equal to 31 instead of greater than equal to 32. So we're going to assign day, wrap that back around to 0 for the start of the next month. We're going to add 1 to time month, and then set the new string for month to be February. Then you're going to continue to do that. See here for February, I've got the same thing, but I'll have it greater than equal to 28. Now, I purposely left out leap years. I'm not going to get into that. I didn't think it was really necessary. So you're going to do the same exact thing there. Check if it's greater than equal to 28. Wrap around the day. Add 1 to month. And then assign it to March. February, March. You're going to continue all the way down till you get to December. Once you get to December, it starts off the same, and then you check to see if it's greater than or equal to 31 for the days. Assign the day, wrap that around, wrap the month around 0. This is very important. This is going to wrap our year around. You add 1 to time year. Now, you also have to make sure to wrap string around for that as well. So set that back to January, since we've already set that 0. And this will just make sure everything wraps around properly. Then, that is it. That is all you have to do to set up the time and date system. It's quite simple. It might seem complex and a little bit tedious, but compared to how it was previously, it's much better. I've added more content, and even though I've added more content, the rewrite of the event system that I have here is about 40% less than the original time and date system that I have. Or actually, it wasn't even time and date, it was just time system. So that'll be the end of that. That's both of those set up. Now we can actually do stuff with it. but you'll see with the playtest, the time and date will show up in the top corner. I've added a little common event, or a little event on the map here, just to set the year, so it doesn't start off as year 1. So when the map loads, we're going to assign 1337 or whatever number you'd like as the year, and then execute the date, which will propagate all the strings and date values, and then local switch just basically make sure this never runs. So if you leave the map and come back, it's not going to do it again. Let's do a little playtest. Okay, that didn't think. I've actually set it up somewhere to see what I did here. I switched this because I didn't want the time and date system running when I was testing something else. Make sure the time stop is off. Very important. So, time stop's on, obviously time will stop. Time stop is off. This will continue and this will. So, at least that shows you what that does. Anyway, back to the playtest. And there you see it. You have time running there. And if you talk to, I think this guy. Go. Now this will not normally stop on its own. That's what the time stop switch. So he'll tell you the time and date. And then time will continue. That'll continue to do that whenever you like. Now I'm going to show you how to set that up next. We've got 2 event sheets here, and this is needed because dialogues, when you have a dialogue, a switch will not activate. It may switch, and you may see it in the console, in the debug console, but it will not actually take effect until after the dialog box. So the only way to do that would be to flip a switch, which then activates the second sheet. Well, I'll just go through it right here. Event switch. This is actually the first sheet. I kind of did them backwards here because I was trying to do it on the first sheet without using the second one. Local switch is off. When you in Hero Talks, I'm going to turn on time stop and turn on local switch. This will activate sheet 2. Local switch is on. So time stop is then activated, and then it will actually go through and do all this. First thing we're going to do is assign time AM PM by time hour. And then we're going to check time AM PM, see if it equals 0. If it is, it will assign 12 time AM PM. This, once again, just makes sure that we do not display the wrong. We don't want to use a 24-hour clock. This is for a 12-hour clock. Now, we're going to check here if it's not equal to 0. If time AM PM is greater or equal to 13, we're going to subtract 12 from it. This will keep us within the 12-hour clock. So it'll always go from 1 to 12 and never any higher. Next, we're going to check time minutes, see if it's less than 10. This is important because when you display the number, if it's 12, it shows up fine for minutes. But if it's anywhere from 0 to 9, it won't give you that leading 0, and that's very important. Otherwise, it'll just say, well, yeah, it'll just show without the leading 0, and it'll look very strange. So that's why you have to do it. It's just a slight alteration in the dialogue. Now I'm going to explain this dialogue to you. First, let's go over if it's greater than 10, or less than 10, where you have to add the extra. Now this is utilizing the codes they have given us to display variables and other things in dialogue. There's several of them, and these are just a couple of them. The way this works is \v and then 2 in brackets. This will display the value of variable 2. And then I have a colon here, which is obviously for the time. And then I'm adding this 0 here. But this is your leading 0 because time minute is less than 10. So then I'm going to display the minute variable. Same thing, except it's variable 0. Then we're going to do \s and 2. This will display the AM or PM, which we set up in the time common event. So it'll always show the correct thing if it's AM or PM. Next we go to the date. String 0 here is your day of the week, followed by, I believe that is the month, and then we're going to display the variable rate, which is your day variable, time day variable. Then lastly, we're going to display variable 6, which is your year variable. So this way it displays everything. Gives you the full time and date. This is the same, except without the leading 0. Can't always have the leading 0 and can't not have the leading 0 if it's times less than 10. So after that, after the dialogue, we're going to turn time stop off and turn local. That way you can talk to the NPC again, and it'll bring this all up again. And time stop turned off, so time can begin moving. I like doing it this way simply because I don't think time should continue moving during the dialogues. That's completely up to you. A lot of extra work to add this in every time. The fact that you need 2 event sheets to be able to do. But I think from a player point of view, it's definitely worth it to just stop time. Okay, so now that we have that, there's other things we can do. Such as chopping a tree. So let's explain that. We're going to start a new event here. Set it to a tree or whatever you'd like. Second event sheet is using the stump, or the pre-built things in A. So the first thing, local switch is off. So that means that we're able to actually see the tree fully regrow. And depending on, in this scenario, I have it set so you can only chop trees on a specific day of the week. If it's not that day of the week, you can't do it. So here I'm checking to see if it's Monday. Monday is not Monday, I should say. It'll tell you can only chop trees on Monday and what day it is today. If it is Monday, we're going to assign local variable 1 to 240. 240 will be how many game minutes with our time system it'll take until you can chop it again, until it regrows. So 240 is 4 hours. So 4 hours game time, the tree will regrow. Obviously, you'll want to adjust this to whatever you like. This is just purely for example. And all this is included with the project file, so you can go over it however you like. Now here, on top of this, I'm going to do an additional check. See if they have a battle axe, which is whatever I put. You'll probably want some type of axe to be able to chop the tree. So if you have it, great. If you don't, it'll say, if I had an axe, I could chop this tree. Makes perfect sense. But if you do have the axe, it's going to play a sound effect and display an animation. /animation. And then this is where it assigns local variable 0 to, or time minute to local variable 0. And this is where we finally use time total. So local variable 1, we're going to add time total to it. And this will give us an absolute time rather than minutes, days, years, months. It will give us an absolute time, so we know that so many minutes have to pass from this point to that point before it'll respawn, more or less. So I just put a little half-second wait here. It's not completely necessary. And then we're going to give the player 3 logs and tell them they got 3 logs. And then turn local switch on. So once you turn local switch on, sheet 2 will activate. Sheet 2 will be set to automatically start. And we're going to assign time total to local variable 2. And then we're going to subtract local variable 1 with local variable 2. This is basically how you check to see if 2 variables are equal. But we're checking if it's greater or equal to. So if it hits a certain point, the time where you chopped it plus 240, if time total is that value or higher, it will respawn the tree. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to check to see if it's greater or equal to 1 or at local variable 2, which means time has passed. Enough time has passed. And if it is, we're going to turn local switch off, which immediately sends you back here and allows you to chop it again. But if it's not, then we're going to check to see if it's equal. We're going to assign variablebox time minute to variablebox local variable 3. Then we're going to subtract local variable 0 from variable box 3, local variable box 3. I know this is rather convoluted, but I swear it all works perfectly. So then, based on that, we're going to check to see if local variable 3's contents is greater or equal to 0. If it is, we're going to turn the switch off. This is basically two different ways to check to see if it needs to respawn. So here we're checking to see if it's greater or equal to 1, and here we're going to check to see if it's 0. Which means they are equal, which means it can respawn. I may be able to make this a little bit shorter, but I'll worry about that another time. That's basically it there. You've got the same thing here. This will show a little graphic here. That on top of the rock. Which just lets you know the rock is ready to mine. That way the rock doesn't disappear, it stays there. And that can, if it disappears, then you can run into some issues with you running into a rock that isn't there, that's invisible. Or it might not want to be invisible, or not want to be passable. In other words, to get to the other side of the rock, whatever's there, you might not want that to be possible. So it's best to use the rock and keep it where it is, and then just place this on top of it. And just change graphic for that to nothing on sheet 2, rather than the stump. So this is the same exact thing. And I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly what it plays like. Got 3 logs. Here you go. Then it won't do anything. Try to go there. Today's Monday. You can only chop trees on Tuesday. Oh, I forgot to change the text on that. Haha. I think I did that for all of them. Oh no. Just that. Oh well. Pick flowers on Wednesdays. Fight monsters on Thursdays. Open chests on Fridays. Search the junk pile on Saturdays. And read on Sundays. Nice lazy day on Sunday. So you see that's regrown. Chop it again. I can talk to this one, and this NPC just tells me what I can do on each day. So on Tuesday, it'll tell me that I can mine. Wednesday, it'll tell me I can pick flowers, etc. And keep an eye on time. I didn't see exactly what time it was. I think it was 8 something when I did the first, or did the last chop. That means somewhere around 12, just after, it'll regrow. Yep, there we go. So there we go, we've chopped that again. Keep in mind, you can only do this on Wednesdays. or only do this on Mondays, I should say. So you'll see when time goes through, it's the next day, I'll no longer be able to chop this tree. It'll continue to regrow. It'll regrow when it's supposed to regrow after 4 hours of being chopped. But you will no longer be able to do it until it's Monday again. What this guy's for? Oh, that's for a rename. This is another feature that's just been added with 1.11 and rename. Adjust all this. To rename characters. I didn't change his name, so that didn't act. This was just a test I was doing for somebody else. I forgot I even left this in here. It will not be in the project file, so don't worry about that. I think there's actually supposed to be a house here, which I removed. We're going to chop this down again. And now it's 10 something, so it won't regrow until 2 a.m. But where that regrows, I can go ahead and mine a rock. And then that'll come back in 4 hours. Talk to him. Time is 2:20. It is Tuesday, January 2nd, 1337. There's the tree regrow. And once again, today's Tuesday. Chop trees on Mondays. So that's how that works. You'll notice some of you may have seen my farming and resource regeneration video, which utilizes the old version of the system, but obviously it can be used and improved upon with the new system. I highly suggest checking out that video. You'll see I've also got farming there with growing crops. You have to water the crops, then eventually you'll pick the crops. You have to plant the seeds. So it's a pretty great concept, and utilizing this time and date system, you can do. Now, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to hop in our Discord, the SGB Discord. All Smile Game Builder, Canyon Wolf and I both run the Discord server. It's as close to as official as you can get, as we have several of the actual developers of Smile Game Builder in Discord. So it's a great place to come and chat and get ideas or help with whatever you're working on. You'll see the link for it right there in the bottom left of the video. It's been there the whole video. And my Twitter name is there as well. So please come check us out. Or if you have any other questions, check it out on the Steam boards. Usually fairly active with responding to people on there as well. So I will catch you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the video.